Okay, all right, here we go. It's me, Doc Hardy. Welcome to the Doc Hardy Show tonight, and I have, I say this every week. I have a special guest, but I have a very, very special guest tonight. I have Mr. Angelo T. King, also known as DJ Tony Tone, also known as Tony Crush of the Cold Crush Brothers. How you doing, DJ Tony Tone?
How you doing, Doc?
I'm
I'm
good.
all right. I'm all right.
Good. I'm good. Thank you for being on the show today. You guys, the Cold Crush Brothers, everything I read, basically is calling you guys the Rolling Stones of hip hop. The Rolling Stones of hip hop.
We've been called the Rolling Stones, and we've been called the Temptations of
The
hip hop.
Temptations of hip hop.
Um,
So,
Go
how do
ahead.
you how do you feel about those labels? How do you feel about those titles?
Well, certain things you have to live up to.
Mm-hmm.
We was gave those names because we was already living up to those names.
Right.
Um, we just try to put our all into it, and we try to honor the people that came before us. So we looked at Rick James, we looked at Ohio Players, Temptation. We looked at all of them, James Brown and all of them, and said, okay, this is what we got to do. This is how we got to go at it. Even though we're hip hop rappers, DJs, we still got to go at it with a sense of mastering it.
Yeah.
So when we look at people like James Brown and all these people, we see how they master their craft. That's what we chose to do. Try to master our craft. That's it in the bucket.
Now, you guys started is 1978-ish, is that right? 1978, or was it before that, or like
Well,
when did you get started, and why?
I me myself, I come from a all of us come from different entities and we came together to form the Crush.
Okay.
I started with a group called the Brothers Disco, which is DJ Barron and Breakout, that became the Funky Four and the Funky Four Plus One. I started with that group when it was just KK Rockwell. They had one Funky Four at that time. And I helped them build all of that. And at the time of them start making records, when big company came in and they started making records, that's when the group started to fall apart. So as that group started to fall apart, I started building the Cold Crush because I wasn't done and I felt I had a little more to offer. So I started building the Cold Crush. Um, they kept telling us that this won't last. This won't last. It's a fad. It's a fad. But some of us had nothing else to do. So this had to be we had to make this grow, build
Okay.
it, nurture it. Like, you know, this is our life. This was our life. Some people do hip hop, but other people live hip hop.
Okay.
So it's truth behind that. But you got to understand what hip hop is to be feel good about living it. You got to understand what it actually is. A lot of people don't understand. They don't give it a chance. They think it's one thing and it's not. So you got to really understand what it is.
So, from the perspective of an originator like you, a pioneer, what is hip hop?
Hip hop is a way of life, a positive way of life, a way of constantly teaching and sharing. If I learn something, I got to share it with you. I got to. Now, I can't keep it to myself. If it's something positive and it would help you and help the community, That's what hip hop is. And people think it's all about the money, and it's about trying to live the most positive life you can. Can't keep it to yourself.
Now, how would you, you look at the growth, of hip hop from the time that you guys pioneered it to where we are now. Give us your observations about that, about the growth and change of hip hop.
Well, people can't understand it because kids brought it to life. I mean, we say hip hop was always here. We just gave it a different spark. I mean, somebody just said Luther was rapping, and I had to stop him. Like, hold up. Because people don't try to tell, James Brown was rapping. No, Pigmeat Mikeman might have been rapping. James Brown wasn't rapping. Luther wasn't rapping. Let them have the credit that that honors them. Right. They wasn't rapping.
Right.
Rapping is just a part of hip hop. The elements of hip hop, DJing, rapping, MCing, graffiti, and the fifth element is knowledge. Beginning with knowledge of self. You got to understand who you are. If you want to share who you are with other people, you got to understand who you are and who you want to be, how positive you want to be. What do you have to offer? I can't offer you nothing negative that's going to help you. So I got to get myself under control and build on being humble myself and learn to teach. We used to say each one teach one. It takes a village and all, yeah.
Right.
You can't do nothing by yourself. And you got to understand that. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And a lot of us still don't understand that. We in our 50s, we in our 60s, and we still trying to create things by ourselves. We trying to do things by ourselves when it just takes you to ask for help. That's all.
Now, to the average Joe listening to, old school hip hop music, they will quickly point to the Sugar Hill Gang and Rapper's Delight. And from what I read, I want you to tell me, the story. It seems like the Cold Crush brothers are connected to that particular song.
Well, it's not the Cold Crush brothers. Grandmaster Cass is actually the only person connected to that song from the Cold Crush brothers.
Okay.
This is the time the Sugar Hill Gang studio rappers. They wasn't in the street with us. Hip hop was 6-7 years old by the time the Sugar Hill. It was in the street. When I say it's from the curve, it's from the streets. We was doing it. Big Bang Hank, Grandmaster Cass was known as Casanova Fly. He had a group. He had his group called the Mighty Force MCs. Hank became Cass's manager and was trying to help him get out there. Hank, he had purchased a sound system. His family had lent him the money to get it. So he was working a pizza shop trying to raise the money to pay them back. Somehow Sylvia Robinson came to the pizza shop. He had a tape of Cass playing, DJing and MCing. He was, going along with it because he had heard it so many times. Yeah, he knew it to that extent. Instead of him saying, "Well, I manage a MC," and bring him to the table, he comes to Cass and say, "Listen, can I have some rhymes?" Cass said, "You're not an MC." He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this, get my foot in the door, and then I'll pull you in," which never happened.
Oh man.
But every time Cass tried to sue or something, it never panned out. Maybe it would have, but the record company was probably paying their lawyers and stuff off that Cass was using to make it go away. In the rhyme, he spells out, "I'm Casanova Fly." He's not Casanova Fly. But he didn't have the knowledge to change the rhyme up. So he said it word for word like Cass said it, and he spells out Cass' name. So why can't Cass win?
Oh wow.
Hey, that's the Sugar Hill thing.
Right.
You know, everybody in Wikipedia says Hank was our man. It was. It's two different things. It's two different things.
That's why I asked the question, because there's a lot of information, misinformation out there. So you know what? I got the man himself. I'm gonna ask these questions and get the story from somebody who knows.
Call me the horse's mouth tonight.
Exactly. Now, your first recording was The Weeknd, but you guys were performing years before that, correct?
Yes. We was turning down record deals.
Why is that?
Because they wouldn't let us do it like we was doing. We wanted to do it the way we was doing our thing, and they was saying, "No, that ain't how you make records. You got to use a band and this and that." And we was really sure that a band couldn't give us what we needed to make the record that we wanted to make. Plus, they would have had to clear. Later on, we realized they would have had to clear this, they would have had to clear that, and they didn't want to do that. It was cheaper for them to do the band thing, but that's what they was used to. They wasn't used to what we was doing at the time. So we started doing The Weeknd, but they wanted us to do our routines. And, you know, because that's what every other rapper was doing. They was putting their routines on records. We was like, no, we want to be creative and make a record from the start to the beginning. So we did The Weeknd describing somebody going through a whole week of work and looking forward to the weekend. That's why we call it The Weeknd. So, in doing the record company ran out of money. So we said, okay, what we can do is, because the dude that was the record company, he also was a promoter. So we said, what we could do is we could do shows. You pay us some money, but you take the rest of the money, and so we can finish the record. That seemed like it's our record. Okay, we can do. We should be able to raise enough money for you to finish the record. We packing parties. It ain't like we got 10 people in a party. We packing the party. So we said, well, we'll do this at a lower price, and you take that money and finish the record. I mean, everybody keeps saying we was before our time. I think we was right on time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think people fought us so much that they couldn't catch on to what we was doing. They didn't understand hip hop, and they wasn't trying to understand hip hop because they was only trying to make money. They wasn't trying to understand hip hop. But still, again, at that time, it wasn't really being called hip hop. Big company was calling it hip hop. We still was like, we jamming, we enjoying life.
Right.
So
now, back in that era, I was in high school, in the late 80s. So, rap battles were a big deal.
Well,
back in the 80s. You don't see that too much anymore now. Right?
Well, it wasn't really rap battles.
Okay.
It was battles because you had to come with everything. You wasn't walking into a club and everything was there. No, you had to come. You had to get the place. You had to promote it. You had to have a strong enough sound system to deal with the other person. You had to come with 100% everything.
All right. So I'm going to ask you about a specific battle because I read different accounts about this battle. Some accounts said they won the battle. Some accounts say you won the battle.
Have you listened? Have you listened to it?
I did listen to it. Okay. All right, I did listen to it.
That's all I want.
But I want to ask you, okay. And that's the battle with the Fantastic Five. That was there's a lot of different opinions about that specific battle. I want to get your take on the battle with the Fantastic Five.
The battle with the Fantastic Five, July of 81. We went into that battle. They had pit us, against, they was doing their thing, we was doing our thing. The night of the battle, we upstairs in Harlem World. Harlem World is on 116th Street in Harlem. We upstairs fighting each other and everything. We come down on that stage. Nobody know we was up there fighting and stuff because it's showtime. It's business. But they called us to the office. They said, listen, it's for $1,000. Winner take all. We can give the winner $700 and the loser take $300. We said no. It's winner take all. It's winner take all. That's what the battle was supposed to be about. You win or you lose. Not okay. You lost, but you still get a prize too. And it's like people don't understand. It's like it's 20 minutes from what people hear today. It's 20 minutes of our intro that ain't even there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We put a whole skit together. It wasn't just a show to us. We put a whole skit together. Our show was called Gangster Chronicles. We had the pinstripe suits on. We had toy machine guns. We had this. In 81, we used a smog machine to smoke up the stage. Fantastic just came out there and did what they did. We put a whole choreographed show together.
Right.
Because that's what the Temptation do. And that's
right.
That's what, But we lost. They might have had the majority of the crowd, whatever.
Right.
We lost. People walking around there crying. I was like, listen, don't cry. Don't cry for us. It's part of history. That's all.
Okay. So you do admit that you lost, at least as far as the crowd goes.
Well,
the crowd goes.
We admit that we let the crowd pick
Okay.
And they picked the Fantastic.
Right. Okay. No rematch? Never. You guys never did a rematch?
No.
Okay.
Real battles don't do a rematch.
Oh.
Real battles don't do. You might battle again, right, but it ain't a rematch.
Right.
we wouldn't call it a rematch.
Okay.
But we will say, if you listen to it, and your criteria about what you're looking for, you pick and choose on. Did we do enough for the win, or did they do enough to win? That's it.
Okay, I hear you.
And we still family. We still family with them.
Okay.
You know? Hey,
I'm Doc.
I I would like to do a show to see so people could see like the real talent in hip hop.
Right.
No doubt the Fantastic Five is incredible too. We did a show together and we call it Fan Crush 9, where we all was on the stage together and doing like the Temptation and the Four Tops, going record for record, dancing in between each other and everything.
Okay. Wow.
So I mean, you know, it was creative. It was creative industry that, you know, a whole lot of hip hop is missing. A whole lot.
Wow. All right. So we're gonna play. I'm Doc Hardis. I'm talking with DJ Tony Tone of the Cold Crush Brothers. We're gonna play The Weeknd for the listeners now. And when we come back from listening to The Weeknd, I want to talk about the movie Wild Style. Get your thoughts on Wild Style and talk about sampling. Talk about sampling and how sampling was in the infancy of hip hop and how you look at sampling today. All right, fair enough.
Right, fair.
All right, this is the Doc Hardy Show. This is the song. What year was the Wild Weeknd recorded? The Weeknd was recorded in what year?
I'm thinking 80, 81.
Okay. All right. So this is the Cold Crush Brothers. Song is called The Weeknd. You're listening to WKBS Radio. All right, so I'll drop The Weeknd in there. We come back from that. All right, so in 82-ish, the movie Wild Style, which is correct, which everything that I'm reading is that's the first real movie that dealt with hip hop. Is that would you agree with that?
Well, the movie was actually supposed to be a graffiti documentary.
Okay.
They came to us for excitement because the movie didn't have no excitement. So they came to us for the incitement. Somebody had told the dude, yo, these kids are doing an incredible thing. I think I was like 19 at the time. They came before that. They bought, we were doing a MC convention and Fab Five Freddy had bought Blondie to the PAL on 183rd Street and sat her up over us, never brought her to the stage and introduced her to us or nothing. 2 months later, she came out with her song, Flash is Great, Flash is Good. Hey, it is what it is.
He's talking about Grandmaster Flash, right?
Yeah. He wasn't even there that night. But like she said, Freddie told her.
Okay. All right.
Wild Style, again, was a documentary about graffiti. He added us into it. No strip, nothing. Just say what you would say. This is what he was telling him. Just say what you would say in this scenario.
Okay.
So years later, excuse me, I'm eating pecan. Years later, I'm like, hold up. We didn't have a script. So it's like we wrote our own script. So shouldn't we get compensated for that? Mind you, 2 weeks ago, 2021, I'm still getting checks from Wild Style.
Oh, good for you. That's good.
Big checks. Big checks.
But the checks, residuals.
Yeah, I'm still getting checks. $28 worth.
Okay.
So, you know,
yeah.
They gave us a contract. I took it to my mother.
Right.
My mother was like, well, why did they want you in the movie? She didn't even say, well, let's get a lawyer, look at it.
Right.
She asked me, why did they want me in a movie? And I said, they just want me in a movie. So I signed it myself.
Okay.
So we signed 1% of the gross of the movie to split 6 ways.
Right.
So I think last year I got $6 check.
Oh wow.
This year I got $28. I got $28.
All right. So that's four times as much.
And the biggest check that we received from Wild Style, I got maybe $550, I think, was the biggest check I ever. Now this is from 81. But from the movie, it's considered a cult movie, the first hip hop movie, whatever. We are known worldwide from the movie.
Yeah, right.
And we toured 83. We toured Japan for 2 weeks off the movie, the opening of the movie in Japan. They took 25 of us to Japan for the opening of the movie over there. Played in Osaka, played in Kyoto, and played in Tokyo.
No, it's a huge movie. And groups that have sampled music off of that album include Nas, A Tribe Called Quest, Cypress Hill, Common, Charisma, MF Doom, the Beastie Boys, Madlib, Jay Dilla, the Jurassic 5. And so, I mean, it's a huge movie in the history of hip hop, and the Cold Crush Brothers were a part of that.
But when they sampled it, we don't get none of that money. All that money go to.
Right. So let's talk about sampling. We talked about this a little bit before we started the show, because sampling is a big deal now. There's some artists whose records don't even stream, even though their records were wildly popular in the 80s and 90s. Their records are not streamable because they never got agreements from the original artists for the sample. So the stuff can't be played. It can't be played. What's your take on sampling? Talk to me about the history of sampling from your perspective.
I think it's a lovely thing if done right. It's helping people that wasn't getting money get money and get new money. Plus, it jumps into a creative situation because people are being very creative with other people's music and changing it up to something new. Like Nile Rodgers from Rapper's Delight, he said that was the biggest check he got. Hip hop.
Okay.
Part of our hip hop is if I can help you grow, that's a good thing. So sampling help people pay their rent, take care of their kids and all that, send their kids to college. It's okay with me. Long as you give people what they deserve. You know,
right.
If you sample somebody's record, pay them. Last 2019, the end of 2019, iPhone 11, they used 16 seconds of Fresh Wild Flying Bold, the instrumental. We got a check.
Okay.
I got more than the Wild Style check from a whole lot.
So sampling is good. Sampling is a good thing.
Yeah.
And maybe one of your most popular samples is the beginning of punk rock rap, which was sampled by Dougie Fresh in his classic The Show.
Yes, we we try to go left sometimes. So we came up with this record, Punk Rock Rap, mixing punk rock and hip hop together. Um, my cousin, she's a doctor now, Dr. Yearwood. Um, we used her as the intro to punk rock rap, and she had to do it in like a UK accent. So Dougie sampled it. She never got paid. But he sampled it, and now when people find out it's her, it's like, oh, okay, I never knew who that was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. It was good. We happy he did it. But you could be standing right next to her and you wouldn't think it's her. So.
Now, are you guys active today? Who's still actively a part of the group?
The base of us are.
Okay, and who's that? Who's the base?
Myself, Grandmaster Cass, Easy AD, Almighty KG, JDL. Charlie decided to leave the group some years ago. That's his,
Right, sure.
People, he grown, he do what he want to.
Right.
But we just got a call to do Dallas, Texas, and they want us to come out there in May, depending on the COVID thing.
Right, so sure.
They called, we gave them a price. They said okay to the price. So they want to start promoting it soon. So we trying to work that out. Yeah, we still active.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm Doc Hardy. I'm with DJ Tony Tone, who of the Cold Crush Brothers. I'm going to play at this point punk rock rap. All right. And when we come back, let's talk about, you guys really are hip hop history. So I want to talk about, what's that?
Can I tell you one more thing about
Sure.
punk rap?
Sure.
We got signed to Columbia Records.
Okay.
Unseen. They signed us because they thought we was white kids. Punk rock rap, they thought white.
Because of the name of the song, they thought you were white kids. Okay.
We come to Black Rock on 6th Avenue, and the dude is like, where the kids that did this record? This are the kids. No promotion, nothing after that.
Oh, really?
Really.
Wow.
Because they signed us because they thought we was white kids.
Once they found out the truth, they didn't want anything to do with it. All right, well, we're going to play it anyway. Punk rock rap by the Cold Crush Brothers. When we come back with DJ Tony Tone, we're going to talk about your place in hip-hop history and where people can see your exhibits around the country. This is the Doc Hardy Show on WKBS Radio. All right, play punk rock rap. So, Tone, I met you last year. We're working on a project that we can't talk about right now because we're gonna do that project this year, and we want to keep it on the low. But I didn't know when I met you that your turntable is on display down in Washington, D.C. Talk to us about some of the exhibits that you are a part of because of the historical importance of the Cold Crush Brothers.
Well, not just my turntables. I gave them a whole sound system.
Okay.
My old sound system from the 70s. But we don't get rid of nothing, really. So I still have a lot of my old stuff.
I've seen your garage.
Yeah. So they came to me and they say, listen, we want you to be a part of the Smithsonian Museum. And at first I turned them down. I was like, nah, I don't.
Why?
Because I had already dealt with the museum in Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
So I had they flew me out to Seattle. I put that exhibit to get help put the exhibit together and everything. So when the Smithsonian came to me, I was there. I was just thinking about what I went through with the other museum. So at first I said no, but then they brought up Emmett Till. So when she brought up Emmett Till, something reached inside of me and touched me, and I say, okay, I want to be in the same building with Emmett Till, yes, but I didn't go in as Tony Tone or Tony Crush. I didn't actually go in as the Cold Crush Brothers. I went in as the Bronx.
Oh,
My
okay.
exhibit says the Bronx
Okay.
on the front of it. I mean, you got my name and who I am up there on the plaque and everything. They showing video of me talking and stuff. But it says the Bronx on my exhibit because I'm representing the Bronx.
So that's a choice that you made. You
Yeah.
chose to go in as the entire borough of the Bronx.
Yes, I wanted to take
repping your hood. That's okay.
Because when is that going to happen again?
Right.
So, I finally took my kids down maybe 2 years ago to see it, and my daughter was 17 at the time. Yeah, she's 19 now. I still got kids under 20. So, she said, "Daddy, I'm proud of you," and that's more than enough. That's more than enough. I'm standing in front of my exhibit. People are walking by, and nobody even realized I'm standing there. That this, because everybody figures if you're in a museum, you passed on or whatever. I'm happy to still be here and to seeing people witness me in the museum. Mm-hmm. I talked to one of my cousins last week. He said, "Yo, you're in the Smithsonian." I said, "Yeah, I know." But he's like, "Yo, I shouldn't know." I know. Yes, I know. So it's very, I think I did something that I'm gonna be a part of hip hop even after death. And that's a legacy to leave behind. I'm not a Martin Luther King, but I am a king.
You are. And you're the Cold Crushers mentioned, of course, in a Jay-Z song, a Jay-Z lyric. How do you feel about that lyric? That particular lyric?
Everybody asked me about that. I never met Jay-Z personally. But I thank him. I thank him for it. What happened to the Cold Crush is the Cold Crush was blackballed at a point in time. But
why? Well, why do you think that? From your view?
We was too street for people. We was too street for people. It was a situation that we wasn't the headline and act on the show, but the headline and act was late getting there. And the promoter came to me and said, "Listen, we want you to go on in their place." And I said, "Are we getting their money?" Said, "No, you getting your money." I said, "Okay, then we going on in our place then." So he said, "You'll never work."
Oh, I see.
So I see. I said, "Well, I really don't care. We'll go back to the street and do what we've been doing."
So, that's a perfect, I think that's an example of what you were saying earlier in our conversation. That to me demonstrates your commitment to the culture over the dollar more than anything that you've said this whole time. That right there.
Well, I'm like I said, I've turned down Def Jam contract. I turned down Hill Records. I turned down a couple of record companies because I knew or thought I knew that nobody on that record company was walking away with any money. So I'm saying, why should I sign to you if I know that person ain't getting no money? That person. And you still got people till the day trying to sue for money from Sugar Hill Records and other records. Like, yo, y'all made millions of dollars. Give these cats some money. And I just didn't want to lead my group into a situation like that.
A lot of wisdom in that decision. What is your view of hip hop today? You sit back and you look at the landscape of hip hop. What are your observations about it?
Well, my observations are we are still the only hip hop that's out. People from our generation, maybe people from the next generation, but the generation now don't care. They don't really focus on the culture of hip hop. They just doing what they doing for themselves. And that's not hip hop. That's not hip hop. If you're not willing to give back, if you're not willing to, if you can't teach somebody something positive, you're not doing hip hop, and you're not even willing to do nothing positive because you think all this negative stuff is you're winning. But if somebody give you $1 million, they making 10 million, maybe 100 million, and you still got to pay that $1 million back.
Yeah.
You got, I mean, like Biggie say, you can't get you don't get high on your own supply. That's what cats thinking, they winning when they're actually losing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and that story, you see it over and over again,
yeah.
Different artists.
It's like a carrot. You got the carrot in front of the horse thing.
They don't realize that money is a loan, not really profit, but a loan that they're expecting. Yeah, it's terrible. So
it's the music business. And a lot of us didn't know the music business. A lot of us don't care to know it. And that's how they get over on us. Yeah. So.
Well, listen, my man, you dropped some gems tonight. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us about the Cold Crush Brothers. Where else besides, you mentioned the museum in Seattle. You also mentioned the Smithsonian in DC. Are there any other museums or displays?
I just learned that you had some pictures in a museum in Tennessee.
Okay.
We was in the museum on Fifth Avenue for about 6 months. We was in the Schomburg for about 6 months. So moving it around.
Exhibits pop up here and there where people have an interest in history.
In the year 2000, we was invited to the United Nations to sign a treaty with the USA to recognize hip hop as a culture.
Wow.
And we had delegates from other countries there to sign the treaty that said how hip hop helped their country as well. 2005, inducted in Cornell University. Just a couple of things.
Just a couple of things. That's fantastic, man. A lot of people who walking around Bridgeport don't know the legend. The legend that you are. And
I'm just a man.
You are. We're all men, but you are part of history, man. And I appreciate you coming on.
For my people, Doc. For my people. Yeah. We have champions, and we're going to keep having champions. And I'm happy to be one of the champions for our people.
Any recordings? Can people buy Cold Crush Brother recordings?
Yeah, you can buy it online. We have We got a couple of things that didn't come out on record, but they online. Swing High, Swing Low, Heartbreakers. We had a couple.
Because on Facebook, a couple of people on Facebook asked, for example, "Ha Ha," is that available? Is that recording available?
Which one?
Ha Ha. Is there a song called Ha Ha'ers?
Okay, that's actually a Cold Crush Brothers.
It's not. Okay.
Grandmaster Caz is on it with Ice-T with another brother.
Okay.
That's not
a Cold Crush. All right, see, so we're learning something. So that's not really a Cold Crush. Someone else of.
Well, yeah, it's a nice record, but it's talking about street life.
Okay. And it's a Grandmaster Caz cut, not Cold Crush.
Yeah.
Do you remember coming to Norwalk, Connecticut at the Carver back in the day? Because people from Norwalk asked, do you remember how lit it was that night?
Well, we came up to Bridgeport. Now that I live in Bridgeport, but we was coming up to Bridgeport too. We came up to Bridgeport, Waterbury, a couple of places up in Connecticut. It's the next state over, so. Right. Yeah, we came. We enjoy sharing our hip hop with whoever wants it till today. Yeah, we came up to Connecticut a couple of different places. Yes, I remember Norwalk. Yes.
All right, because the Norwalk people said, make sure you ask about us. Did he remember coming to see us at the Carver Center? So.
In Norwalk, do I have any exes out in Norwalk?
I don't know. We'll leave that alone.
Hey, I was Tony Cole never leaving the girls alone. So I'm just wondering.
Okay.
I'm just wondering.
All right, we're gonna close it out, man. We're gonna play Fresh, Wild, Flying Bold on the way out. I'm Doc Hardy with my man DJ Tony Tone of the Cold Crush Brothers. Tony, thank you so much, man, for being on the program today.
Peace and love, Doc.
Peace and love. Blessings.
Keep up the good work, Doc.
All right, this is the Cold Crush Brothers, Fresh, Wild, Flying Bold. I'm the doctor. You're listening to the Doc Hardy Show on WKBS Radio. All right, my man. I like that. I think we got some good stuff. So